The chandelier explodes light across marble so white, it burns. Rain hammers the windows of Belamonte's like fists demanding entry. The hostess adjusts her pearl earring, eyes cutting toward the door where a young black woman stands dripping, clutching something small in her fist. "You don't belong here." The words slice through violin music and the clink of crystal. Nara Duval doesn't move. Water pools at her feet, spreading across marble that costs more than her yearly rent. Her dress, thrift store polyester trying to pass for silk, clings to her frame. The $5 bill in her palm is wrinkled, soft from being folded and unfolded a dozen times on the subway ride here. "This is where my date told me to meet him." Her voice barely carries over the laughter rolling from the corner booth. Three men in suits that fit like second skins. One of them lifts his head from an espresso cup. Gray eyes lock onto her trembling hands, then travel up to meet her gaze across 40 feet of restaurant floor designed to separate people like her from people like them. "Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is." The hostess glances at those gray eyes, then back to Nara. Something shifts in her expression. Not kindness, but calculation. She lifts a menu like a shield. "Table 12 by the window." Nara walks. Each step echoes. Heads turn. A woman in diamonds whispers behind her hand. A waiter freezes mid-pour, wine bottle suspended in air. The violin player misses a note. The man with gray eyes hasn't looked away. His companions lean in, saying something, but he raises one finger. They go silent. He sets down his cup without a sound. Eyes tracking Nara's path through the room like a predator watching something it hasn't decided whether to kill or protect. She reaches table 12. The chair opposite is empty. The place setting gleams. 3 forks, 2 knives, a spoon she doesn't know the purpose of. Through the window, headlights slice through rain, washing the street in yellow, then dark, then yellow again. Her phone buzzes. She pulls it from her purse with shaking fingers. "Sorry, princess. Something came up." "Rain check?" The message sits on her screen for 3 seconds before another bubble appears. "Actually, maybe this wasn't a good idea. You're sweet, but we're from different worlds, you know?" Nara's throat closes. She sets the phone face down on the table. Outside, across the street, a flash of movement. Someone holding up a phone. Camera pointing directly at her through the restaurant window. The screen glows blue against the dark. Then the person steps back into shadow. Inside Belamonte's, the man with gray eyes signals his bodyguard with a gesture so slight, it might be mistaken for adjusting his cufflink. What would you do if someone humiliated you in a room full of strangers? Would you run? Or would you sit there with your spine straight, refusing to break? Nara stares at the empty chair and sees her mother's face. Not as she was at the end, tubes and monitors and that terrible beeping, but before. Folding hotel sheets at 6 a.m., fingers raw from bleach, humming gospel songs to keep from crying. "Baby girl, you're gonna have more than this. You're gonna build something that's yours." 12 years old, watching Mama iron rich people's clothes in their kitchen while they ate dinner in the next room, never offering her a plate. 16, holding Mama's hand in the hospital when the bills started coming. 22, standing at a grave marker she'd paid for in installments, still owing the funeral home $300. 4 years of cleaning penthouses that cost more per month than she'd make in a decade. 4 years of becoming invisible the moment she put on her uniform. "Ma'am, this. Sir, that. Yes, I'll make sure the towels are arranged exactly like the photo you showed me." Interior design. That's the dream folded up in her mind, creased from being taken out and examined in stolen moments. Fabric swatches, color theory, the way light moves through a room at different times of day. She'd sketched her own apartment redesign on the back of cleaning supply receipts, made that 400 square foot box with its water-stained ceiling look like something worth coming home to. The dating app was Keisha's idea. Her coworker, the only person at the cleaning company who learned her actual name instead of just calling her the girl on the 47th floor. "Nara, you spend every evening watching design videos on your phone. When's the last time you went on a date? I don't have time for... You don't have time to be lonely forever either." So she'd made a profile. Used the one photo where her smile didn't look exhausted. Jared Blythe had messaged within an hour. Finance guy, nice words. Called her beautiful without making it creepy. Said he wanted to take her somewhere fancy. Show her how a real man treats a lady. She'd spent her last $40 on the taxi here. 5 left in her wallet. That $5 bill now sitting on the white tablecloth like evidence of her stupidity. The waiter appears at her elbow. Young, hair gelled into submission, smile professionally neutral. Can I start you with something to drink? Lemonade, please. The cheapest thing on the menu she'd studied on her phone during the taxi ride. He glances at the empty chair. Will your companion be joining shortly? No. The word comes out harder than she intends. Just me. His smile doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. Pity, maybe. Or relief that he won't have to serve someone who clearly doesn't belong here for too long. He walks away, already forgetting her face. Across the restaurant, the gray-eyed man says something to his bodyguard, and the bodyguard nods once, pulls out a phone, types something, sets it down, returns to scanning the room like threats might materialize from the wallpaper. Nara pulls out her own phone, opens her bank app, checks the balance she already knows by heart. $63 until Friday. Rent's due Monday. The electric bill's past due. She closes the app before the numbers can make her cry. Outside, that shadow moves again. The phone camera's blue glow pulses in the rain. Have you ever felt invisible in a room full of people? Have you ever wanted something so badly you could taste it, knowing you'd never be allowed to swallow? 30 minutes pass like hours. The violin player switches songs, something French and melancholy that makes the rain sound intentional. Nara watches droplets race down the window, says, betting on which will reach the bottom first. Left one wins. She gains nothing. The waiter returns with her lemonade on a silver tray, sets it down with a soft clink. That'll be $7. She looks up. 7? Plus tax, $8.40 total. His voice stays pleasant, but his hand is already extended, waiting. Nara picks up her $5 bill, smooths it flat on the table like that'll make it grow. I thought the menu said 6, but she'd missed the asterisk. The fine print about prices subject to change, about automatic gratuity, about being in Manhattan where even water costs more than it should. I only have 5. The waiter's smile finally cracks. Not mean exactly, just tired of this moment he's lived 100 times with 100 different people who couldn't read the room before walking through the door, said, I can take the lemonade back if— No! Too loud. Heads turn. Nara lowers her voice. I can pay you next week. I work in this neighborhood. I clean at Bellamont Towers, apartment 47B. You can ask, ma'am, I'm sorry, but we can't. A $20 bill appears on the table between them, slides across white tablecloth like a magic trick. The waiter's hand stops mid-reach. He looks up, color draining from his face. Her bill's covered. The voice comes from behind Nara, deep, quiet. The kind of voice that doesn't need volume because it carries weight instead. She turns in her chair. The gray-eyed man stands 3 feet away. Up close, he's older than she thought, maybe 40, maybe ageless. Black suit with no tie. Hair silver at the temples. A face carved from something harder than marble, with a scar threading through his left eyebrow that speaks of a story he'd never tell. I don't accept charity. Nara's voice shakes, but her spine stays straight. Mama's voice in her head. Never let them make you small. The man's expression doesn't change. Then don't. He looks at the waiter, who's gone statue still. Bring her whatever she wants. Put it on my account. Yes, Mr. DeLorean. The waiter snatches up the 20 like it might burn him, disappears into the kitchen at double speed. DeLorean. The name lands in Nara's chest like a stone dropping into water, ripples spreading outward. She's heard that name whispered by the building staff at Bellamont Towers, seen it on the lease agreement for the penthouse suites that take up entire floors, the kind of name that makes people lower their voices and check over their shoulders. I can't pay you back. The words taste like admission of defeat. I didn't ask you to. He studies her face with those gray eyes that seem to catalog everything: the cheap dress, the wet hair, the $5 bill she's still holding like a talisman. You're sitting in my restaurant in the rain, alone with your head up. That's payment enough. Payment for what? For the first time, something almost human crosses his face. Not quite a smile. Reminding me what courage looks like. He turns to walk away. Nara's voice stops him. Why? He glances back. The lighting catches his face from the side, turning him into a figure from a Renaissance painting, all sharp angles and shadow. Because 23 years ago, I sat in a place like this with nothing in my pocket but hope and rage. Someone looked at me the way these people are looking at you. His eyes sweep the restaurant, the diamond woman still whispering, the suits pretending not to stare. The difference is, no one helped me that night. He walks back to his table, sits down, picks up his espresso like the last 2 minutes didn't happen. But his bodyguard leans in, phone out, showing him something on the screen. DeLorean's jaw tightens. His eyes cut to the window, to the street beyond, to the spot where someone had been holding up a camera. His hand curls into a fist on the table. The espresso cup rattles once against its saucer. Outside, the rain comes down harder. The shadow is gone. But across the street, in a coffee shop window, a young man in a North Face jacket watches Belamontes through the glass, laughing at something on his phone. Showing his screen to the 3 people crowded around him. Their laughter is silent through 2 panes of glass and 40 feet of rain, but their faces tell the story. Inside the restaurant, Nara's phone buzzes again. She doesn't look at it. She already knows what it'll say. Another message from Jared. Maybe an apology. Maybe another excuse. Maybe nothing at all. What she doesn't know, what she can't know yet, is that across the street, Jared's thumb hovers over the post button. The video he's recorded is titled, Gold Digger Gets Stood Up at Rich Restaurant, LOL. The view count is already climbing. If someone secretly filmed your worst moment and prepared to share it with the world, would you want to know? Or would you rather live in peace for one more night before your life explodes? The surveillance room at Belamonte's sits behind the kitchen, accessible only through a door marked Staff Only in faded lettering. 12 screens mounted to the wall show every angle of the restaurant: the dining room, the entrance, the bar, the rain-soaked street outside. The feeds record everything, delete nothing, store 6 months of footage on servers kept in a temperature-controlled basement 3 floors down. DeLorean owns the restaurant. He owns the building it sits in. He owns the security company that monitors the cameras. Most people don't know this. The ones who do keep it to themselves. Marcus, his head of security, reviews the footage at 11 p.m. when the restaurant closes. He spots it on camera 7, the exterior feed pointing toward the street. A young man in a North Face jacket standing under the coffee shop awning, phone raised, recording through the rain. The timestamp reads 8:47 p.m., exactly when the woman in the cheap dress was sitting alone at table 12. Marcus rewinds, watches the man's face light up with his phone screen, watches him gesture to his friends, showing them something, watches them double over laughing. He zooms in. The restaurant's cameras are military grade. DeLorean doesn't believe in saving money on things that keep him alive. The zoom is good enough to catch the reflection in the coffee shop window. Good enough to read the phone screen in that reflection. The video title appears backward in the glass. LOL PU Doots Stegi Regi DDLOG. Marcus screenshots it, runs the image through reversal software, sends the corrected version to DeLorean's encrypted phone with 3 words. You need to see this. At midnight, DeLorean stands in that same surveillance room, watching the footage for the 5th time. The woman, Nara, he'd overheard the waiter say, sitting alone, the empty chair. Her hands folded on the table, knuckles tight. The moment she'd pulled out that $5 bill and the world had judged her for it. Then the exterior feed. The man with the camera, the laughter. Find him. DeLorean's voice could frost glass. Marcus nods. Already did. Jared Blythe, works at Steinman and Cross, investment firm on 44th. Lives in Chelsea. This is his 3rd time pulling this stunt. Takes women on fake dates to expensive places and films them struggling with the bill. Posts it all on social media. Got 200,000 followers watching him humiliate people for entertainment. DeLauren's fist hits the table once. The screens shake. Third time? First two women were white. Corporate types. Video did okay, but nothing viral. Marcus pulls up another screen. But this one? He's calling it his masterpiece. Posted it an hour ago. Already got 50,000 views. The video plays on screen 9. Nara walking into Belamonte's, rain-soaked. The hostess's face, the whispers, the empty chair, the $5 bill. Jared's voiceover narration makes it worse. Watch this chick try to buy her way into the rich people club with lunch money. Bet she thought she'd found a sugar daddy. Reality check coming in. 3, 2, 1. The comment section scrolls past. Half of them are laughing. The other half are worse. Racial slurs, violent suggestions, addresses people claim to have found, threats against someone who'd done nothing but show up where she'd been told to show up. DeLauren's face remains stone, but something shifts behind his eyes. A calculation being made. A line being drawn. There's more immensity. Marcus switches to another screen. I ran Jared's financials. He's not just some influencer clown. 3 deposits in the last month from a shell company registered in the Caymans. 20,000 each. The shell company traces back to... Let me guess. DeLauren's voice is winter. Dmitri. Marcus nods. Your favorite Russian's been trying to get leverage on you for months. Couldn't touch your businesses. Couldn't flip your people. So he gets creative. Finds some social media parasite. Pays him to set up situations that make you look bad. You cover some random woman's bill at your own restaurant, suddenly you're all over the internet as the mysterious billionaire with a soft spot. Makes you look weak. Makes people think they can get to you through acts of kindness. Dmitri thinks kindness is weakness. He's not alone in that. DeLauren watches the video again. Nara's face when she'd realized her date wasn't coming. The way she'd held herself together when every instinct must have screamed to run. The $5 bill laid out on white tablecloth like a confession. She doesn't know. It's not a question. No clue. Far as she knows, she just had a bad date. Marcus closes the laptop. Could leave it alone. Video will die down in a week. She'll never connect it to you. DeLauren is quiet for a long moment. Rain drums on the roof 3 floors above. Somewhere in the kitchen, a dishwasher hums its final cycle. Pull her employment records. I want to know where she works, where she lives, who she talks to. He stands, straightening his cuffs. And find out everything about Jared Blythe, everything. Where he gets his coffee, what gym he uses, who he's sleeping with. I want a file that tells me what he's afraid of. What are you thinking? DeLauren moves toward the door, then stops. His reflection in the dark screens shows a man carved from consequence. I'm thinking Dmitri wanted to use her to make me look weak, so I'm going to return the favor. He glances back. But first, I'm going to make sure she's protected, whether she wants it or not. The door closes behind him. On screen 9, the video keeps playing. The view count hits 100,000, then 2. The comments multiply like bacteria. And across the city, in a 400-square-foot apartment in the Bronx, Nara Duval sleeps, without knowing that her face is currently being seen by 200,000 strangers, without knowing that her humiliation is entertainment, without knowing that the most dangerous man in Manhattan just decided she's worth protecting. She sleeps, and the rain falls, and somewhere in Chelsea, Jared Blythe watches his follower count climb and thinks he's won something. What happens when you humiliate the wrong person in front of the wrong witness? What happens when kindness becomes a weapon and protection feels like a cage? Would you want someone like DeLauren deciding your fate, even if he's the only thing standing between you and a world that wants to destroy you? Morning comes too early. Nara's alarm screams at 5:30 a.m. and she slaps it silent, already regretting consciousness. The dream dissolves, something about marble floors and gray eyes, and reality crashes back. Work. The Towers, apartment 47B. She dresses in her uniform, gray pants, white polo with the cleaning company logo, sneakers that stopped being white 6 months ago. Skips breakfast because the bread's moldy and the eggs ran out Tuesday. Catches the 6:15 bus that reeks of coffee and resignation. Her phone stays buried in her purse. She hasn't checked it since last night. Doesn't want to see if Jared messaged again. Doesn't want to think about Belamontes or $5 bills, or strange men who pay for lemonade and speak in riddles about courage. The towers rise 57 floors into a sky threatening more rain. Nara swipes her employee badge at the service entrance, takes the freight elevator that shudders and groans, gets off on 47. The hallway smells like expensive candles and other people's lives. Apartment 47B. She knocks twice, protocol, even though she knows Mrs. Chen is in California for 2 weeks and the place should be empty. No answer. She unlocks the door with the key from the office, steps inside. A man stands by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the city like he owns it. Nara's heart stops. Her keys hit the floor with a metallic scatter. The man turns, gray eyes, black suit. That scar through his eyebrow catching morning light. You work here? Not a question. A statement of fact delivered like a judge's verdict. Nara's mouth opens, closes, opens again. How did you... This is a private residence, but I know. DeLorean crosses the room in 3 strides, stops 6 feet away, close enough to be intentional, far enough to not be threatening. He pulls something from his jacket. A business card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. The kind that costs $5 to print one of. I need a personal housekeeper for my estate in Hudson Valley. You start tomorrow. Triple your current salary. The words hang in air that suddenly feels too thick to breathe. Nara stares at the card without taking it. You followed me here? I own the building. I reviewed the employee records. He says it like it's reasonable. Like tracking down a woman you spoke to for 2 minutes in a restaurant is normal behavior. You're thorough. The Chen apartment is always perfect. Mrs. Chen specifically requests you when she's in residence. That kind of attention to detail is rare. That doesn't explain why... Nara's voice shakes. She forces it steady. I'm not interested in charity, Mr. DeLorean. Good, because I'm not offering it. He sets the card on the marble countertop. I'm offering employment. A job that pays what you're worth instead of what they can get away with paying you. A job where you're treated like a professional instead of... His eyes cut to the gray polo, the faded logo. Invisible. Something in those words hits too close. Nara's hands curl into fists. How do you know what I'm worth? You don't know anything about me. I know you showed up to a restaurant where you didn't belong and refused to leave with your head down. I know you tried to pay for a $7 lemonade with $5 and offered to make payments rather than accept defeat. I know you're still here, still working, still standing. He takes a step closer. That tells me everything I need to know. Or maybe it tells you I'm desperate. The words taste bitter. Maybe you think desperate people are easy to control. For the first time, his expression shifts. Not anger, something else. Something that might be respect. If I wanted to control you, I wouldn't be offering you a choice. He moves toward the door, stops with his hand on the frame. The job is real. The pay is real. You want references? I'll provide them. You want to see the estate first? I'll send a car tomorrow at 9. You want to tell me to go to hell? That's your right. He opens the door, pauses. But before you decide, ask yourself something. How long are you going to clean other people's homes before you can afford to design your own? The door closes behind him. The sound echoes through the apartment like a gunshot. Nara stands frozen for 10 seconds. 20. Then she crosses to the counter, picks up the card with fingers that won't stop shaking. Silvio DeLorean. No title, no company name, just a phone number embossed in silver ink and an address in Hudson Valley that she recognizes from design magazines. The Ashford Estate, 40 acres, listed in Architectural Digest as one of the 10 most beautiful private residences in New York. She flips the card over. On the back, handwritten in black ink, $2,400 week. Housing included. No contract. You're free to leave anytime. Her current salary is $800 a week. Before taxes. before the city takes its cut, before she pays for the bus and the metro and the coffee that keeps her functional. 2400 would mean paying rent without choosing between electricity and groceries, would mean saving, would mean design school, eventually. Maybe. Her phone buzzes in her purse. She ignores it, pulls out her cleaning supplies instead. Mrs. Chen's apartment won't clean itself, and she's already behind schedule. But the card stays on the counter. And as Nara dusts furniture that costs more than her education, she catches herself glancing at those embossed silver numbers, memorizing them, testing how they feel in her mind. By noon, she's made her decision. By 12:30, she's dialing the number with hands that shake for entirely different reasons than they did in Belamonte's. He answers on the first ring. I wondered how long it would take. One condition. Nara's voice is steady now, strong. You tell me why. The real reason. Not some speech about courage or attention to detail. Why me? Silence on the other end. Long enough that she thinks he's hung up. Then, because 23 years ago, someone looked at me the way that hostess looked at you, and no one stopped it. No one helped. I survived, but I never forgot what it feels like to be dismissed like you're nothing. A pause. I can't change what happened to me, but I can make sure it doesn't happen to you. Not on my watch. The line goes quiet again. Nara closes her eyes, thinks of her mother, thinks of $5 bills and marble floors and the way DeLorean had said, courage like it was something sacred. What time should I be ready tomorrow? She can hear the smile in his voice. Car comes at 9. Bring whatever matters to you. Everything else we'll provide. The call ends. Nara sets down her phone and returns to cleaning. But something's different now. The apartment doesn't feel like someone else's space she's borrowing. It feels like a place she's already left behind. Outside the window, 57 floors below, a black car with tinted windows idles at the curb. The driver's seat is empty. But in the back seat, Silvio de Loren watches the building through dark glass, phone in hand, making calls that will rearrange a woman's life without her knowledge. Protection, he calls it. Preparation. But in the language of his world, it has another name, control. Would you get in the car? Would you trust a man who tracks you down and offers salvation that feels like a beautiful trap? Would you trade one kind of invisibility for another kind of danger just for the chance to finally be seen? The brandy swirls amber, gold, and crystal that catches afternoon light and throws it across walls paneled in wood, older than the city. Nara stands at the library table arranging white roses, stems cut at precise angles, thorns stripped clean, water changed twice daily because wilted flowers are the first sign a house is dying from the inside. 3 weeks at the Ashford estate. 3 weeks of marble hallways that echo her footsteps back at her like questions she can't answer. 3 weeks of staff who speak in whispers and watch her like she's a test they're all waiting to fail. The house breathes wealth. Not the loud kind that screams from penthouse balconies, but the quiet kind that's been here so long it's soaked into the floorboards. 12 bedrooms, a kitchen built for catering weddings, gardens that require 4 full-time groundskeepers to maintain the illusion of natural beauty, and silence. So much silence, it feels like a living thing. DeLorean appears in the doorway without warning. No footsteps, no announcement. Just suddenly there, watching her work with eyes that catalog everything. The angle of each stem, the water level in the vase, the small adjustment she makes to rotate the arrangement toward the window light. Why didn't you cry that night? His voice breaks 3 weeks of careful distance. They've barely spoken since she arrived. He's been gone most days. Business he never explains, destinations he never names. The staff serves his meals in the study and clears them untouched an hour later. Nara keeps arranging flowers, doesn't look up. Which night? Belamonte's, table 12, when you realized he wasn't coming. He moves into the room, pours brandy from a decanter that probably costs more than her former yearly salary. Everyone else would have cried, or gotten angry, or left. You sat there for 43 minutes, with your back straight and your hands folded. Why? She sets down the last rose, turns to face him. Because they wanted me to. They? The hostess, the people staring, the waiters whispering. They wanted me to break down so they could feel justified in thinking I didn't belong there. Her hands are still damp from flower water. She doesn't wipe them on her work pants. I won't give anyone that power over me. Something shifts in his expression. Not quite a smile. Something sharper, more dangerous. That's what I thought. He crosses to the window. The Hudson Valley stretches below, trees turning gold and crimson, the river cutting through them like a silver scar. His reflection in the glass shows a man who carries tension the way other people carry car keys. Automatic, constant, forgotten until you need it. You know what people see when they look at me? He doesn't wait for an answer. They see the money, the power, the reputation. They see someone who got where he is by being ruthless. He takes a drink. They're not wrong, but they miss the part where ruthlessness is just another word for survival, for refusing to let the world make you small. Nara watches his reflection. Why are you telling me this? Because you already know it. You've been surviving your whole life, working jobs that treat you like you're replaceable, cleaning up after people who don't bother learning your name, dreaming about design school while your hands crack from bleach. He turns from the window. The difference between you and me is I stopped surviving and started taking. You're still waiting for permission. The words land like accusations. Nara's jaw tightens. Permission to do what? To want more. To take up space. To stop apologizing for existing in rooms you think you don't belong in. He sets down his glass. The sound echoes. You belong everywhere, Nara. The world just hasn't caught up yet. Her name in his mouth sounds different than it does anywhere else. Not dismissive, not casual. Like something that matters. I should finish the West Wing before dinner. She turns back to the flowers, needing something to do with her hands, some excuse to look away from eyes that see too much. Leave them! He's closer now, not touching close, but close enough that she can smell expensive cologne and something underneath it. Coffee, maybe, or the leather of the car he drives too fast on country roads. I want to show you something. He leads her through hallways lined with art worth more than neighborhoods, upstairs that curve like spines, to a locked door on the third floor that he opens with a key he keeps on a chain separate from all the others. The room beyond steals her breath, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the valley, drawing tables positioned to catch north light, shelves of design books organized by era and region, fabric samples mounted on boards, paint chips arranged in gradients from cream to crimson, a drafting table with tools laid out like surgical instruments. I bought it all last week. DeLorean watches her face instead of the room. The books are first editions. The tools are professional grade. The fabric samples are from every major design house in New York. He gestures to a portfolio case on the table. And that contains your application to Parsons. Already submitted. Already accepted. Classes start in January. Nara's knees forget how to lock. She grabs the edge of the drafting table. You can't. I didn't ask for. I know. He moves to the window. But you would have asked eventually. Would have saved for another 5 years while your talent rotted away cleaning other people's messes. Would have convinced yourself you were being practical when really you were just being afraid. He looks back at her. I'm removing the fear. What you do with the opportunity is your choice. Her throat closes around a dozen responses. Anger, gratitude, confusion. All of them true. All of them useless. Why? The question comes out broken. Because strength like yours shouldn't serve anyone. His voice drops. It should lead. He walks to the door, stops with his hand on the frame. Dinner's at 7. You're eating with me tonight. Not in the kitchen with the staff. In the dining room. At the table. It's not a request. Wear whatever you want, but know this. You're not my employee anymore. You're my guest. And guests in my house are treated with respect. The door closes. Nara stands alone in a room full of everything she's ever wanted, surrounded by books she's dreamed of reading and tools she's imagined holding. The valley below turns gold in the sunset. Somewhere in the house, a clock chimes 6. She has 1 hour to decide if this is salvation or the most beautiful trap ever built. And as she stands there, her phone, the one she's barely checked since arriving, buzzes in her pocket. 3 messages, 17 missed calls, 22 notifications from social media apps she doesn't remember downloading. Her hands shake as she pulls it out. The screen lights up with a video that's been viewed 400,000 times. The thumbnail shows her face, Belamonte's, the empty chair. The title reads, Gold Digger Gets Reality Check. Watch her fail. Would you open the video? Would you read the comments from strangers who've decided your worth based on 30 seconds of your worst moment? Or would you throw the phone out the window and pretend the world outside this room doesn't exist? The phone screen cracks against the wall before Nara realizes she's thrown it. Glass spiders across marble. The video keeps playing from the floor, volume tinny, but words clear enough to cut. Jared's voice, narrating her humiliation like it's entertainment. Like she's a character instead of a person, making jokes about the dress, the $5, the way she'd tried to maintain composure while her world fell apart in real time. 400,000 views. The number burns itself into her vision. 400,000 strangers who've watched her sit alone, who've laughed at her hope, who've decided she's ridiculous for believing someone might actually want to take her somewhere nice. The comments scroll past. She catches fragments before looking away. Imagine thinking you belong there. She really thought she found a sugar daddy? This is what happens when you aim too high. And worse, so much worse. Racial slurs she won't repeat even in her own mind. Threats, addresses people claim are hers, wrong addresses, but the intent is clear. Violence dressed up as comedy. Hate wearing the costume of entertainment. Nara slides down the wall, sits on floor that costs more per square foot than her monthly rent used to be. Her hands shake. Not with fear, with rage so pure it feels like it might burn through her skin. 3 weeks. She's been here 3 weeks building something that felt like a future. And the whole time that the past has been circulating online, gathering viewers, turning her into a joke that 400,000 people are in on. Does DeLorean know? The thought arrives like ice water. Is this why he hired her? Because she's viral content? Because associating with her gets his name and whatever algorithm determines relevance? The door opens. She doesn't look up. I was going to tell you. His voice comes from somewhere above her. I wanted to handle it first. Handle it, she laughs. The sound comes out sharp enough to draw blood. Like it's something that can be handled, like you can just throw money at it and make 400,000 people forget they've seen me at my lowest. No. He crouches down, eye level now. But I can make them see the truth. All of it. What truth? That I was stupid enough to think someone might actually want to go on a date with me? She finally meets his eyes. That's the truth, isn't it? I fell for the oldest trick in the book. Guy pretends to like the poor girl, sets her up to fail, films it for views. I'm the idiot here. You're not. The words come out hard. Final. Jared Blythe is a parasite who makes money humiliating people. You're the third woman he's done this to. The first two were white, worked in finance, had savings accounts and support systems. You know what happened to them? Video got a few thousand views and died. But you? He gestures to the broken phone. You went viral. Want to know why? She doesn't want to know. Knows anyway. Can feel it in the comments section, in the particular flavor of the cruelty. Because the internet loves watching black women fail. He says it plainly. No emotion. Just fact. Loves watching anyone from the bottom try to climb and fall. It's the same reason they watch police chases and housing evictions and people getting fired on reality TV. It makes them feel better about their own lives. So what? Nar's voice cracks. I'm supposed to just accept that I'm entertainment now? That everywhere I go, people might recognize me as that girl from that video? No. He stands, pulls out his phone, turns the screen toward her. You're supposed to let me show them what really happened. The screen shows a different video. Multiple camera angles, Belamonte's exterior, Jared standing across the street with 3 friends laughing, setting up the shot. One of them saying, Dude, this is gonna get you so many followers. Another, make sure you get her face when she realizes. Then interior footage, the hostess's sneer, The whispers, the waiter's discomfort when Nara pulled out the $5, and through it all, Nara's face. Not embarrassed, not desperate, just tired. So tired of a world that makes you pay to exist in it. Then DeLorean's intervention, the $20 bill, the quiet respect in his voice when he'd said courage. The video ends with text overlaid on black. Jared Blythe is a professional bully funded by rival businesses to create viral content at others' expense. The woman in this video is Nara Duval, a designer and housekeeper who showed more strength in 43 minutes than Blythe has in his entire life. This is the truth he didn't want you to see. I can't release this without your permission. DeLorean pockets his phone. But if I do, it goes to every platform, every news outlet, every social justice account with more than 1 million followers. By tomorrow morning, the story changes. You stop being the joke. He becomes it. Nara stares at the broken phone on the floor. At the video still playing on its cracked screen, her face frozen in a moment of humiliation that 400,000 people have consumed like popcorn. What's the catch? Her voice comes out flat. Empty. No catch. You say yes, I burn his world down. You say no, we pretend this never happened, and you keep building your future here. He moves toward the door. But I need an answer now, because every hour that video stays up, it spreads further. And the longer we wait, the harder it becomes to control the narrative. Tja. Control the narrative. The phrase tastes like ash, like she's still just a character in someone else's story. First Jared's, now DeLorean's. What happens to him? She needs to know, needs to understand what she's agreeing to. He loses his job, his sponsors, his platform, maybe his freedom, depending on what the lawyers find. DeLorean's face shows nothing. No satisfaction, no mercy, just cold calculation. He made you into Conant. I'm returning the favor. Nara closes her eyes, thinks about her mother, about 12-hour days and hospital bills and dying with nothing to show for a lifetime of work except a daughter who learned to survive by making herself small. Small doesn't work. She knows that now. Small just makes you an easier target. Do it. The words come out strong, clear. Show them everything. DeLorean nods once, pulls out his phone, makes a call. Marcus, release it. Everything. He hangs up, looks at Nara still sitting on the floor. Get dressed for dinner. By the time we finish eating, the world will know your name for the right reasons. He leaves. Nara sits in the wreckage of her broken phone and watches the view count on Jared's video finally stop climbing. Because somewhere in Manhattan, in every newsroom and content farm and social media war room, and a new story is starting to spread. One with surveillance footage and financial records and a narrative that turns victim into survivor and bully into criminal. The internet, that vast machine that feeds on humiliation, is about to have its appetite turned back on itself. And Nara Duval, who walked into a restaurant with $5 and walked out with her dignity intact, is about to become something more dangerous than viral. She's about to become real. If you had the power to destroy someone who hurt you, would you use it? Or would you worry that revenge makes you just as cruel as they are? How do you tell the difference between justice and cruelty when both of them feel like taking back control? The warehouse under the Brooklyn Bridge smells like river water and rust. No windows. One door. Lights that hang from chains and swing slightly when the trains pass overhead, sending shadows skating across concrete. Jared Blythe sits in a folding chair in the center of the space, hands zip-tied behind him, mouth taped shut. Sweat darkens his North Face jacket. His eyes track movement like a trapped animal's. Wild, calculating escape routes that don't exist. Two men stand in the corners, not moving, not speaking, just present, like furniture designed to make people understand the situation they're in. The door opens. DeLorean enters, Nara behind him. Jared's eyes go wide. Recognition and panic in equal measure. He tries to speak through the tape, sounds muffled and desperate. No, DeLorean's voice cuts through the attempt. You don't get to talk yet. You spent weeks talking, making videos, building a career on other people's pain. Now you listen. He nods to one of the men who pulls the tape off. Jared gasps, coughs, words tumbling out in a rush. Look, man, I didn't know she was connected to you. I swear it was just content. It wasn't personal. Wasn't personal. DeLorean repeats the words like he's examining something rotten. You filmed her, mocked her, posted her face for 400,000 strangers to judge. And it wasn't personal. It's just what I do, okay? It's entertainment. People love it. The algorithm? The algorithm. DeLorean moves closer. You hide behind mathematics like it absolves you, like viral views make cruelty acceptable. He crouches down, eye level. But algorithms don't pay you $60,000 to target specific restaurants. People do. Want to tell me who's been funding your little entertainment career? Jared's face goes white. I don't know what. One of the men in the corner shifts weight. Jared's words die. Let me help you remember. DeLorean pulls out his phone, swipes through screens. 3 deposits, 20,000 each. Shell company registered in the Caymans. Traces back to Dmitry Volkov, Russian national with a passion for making me look weak. He shows Jared the screen. You weren't making content. You were a weapon. And you were too stupid to realize it. The color drains from Jared's face completely. He said it was just marketing, that he wanted to invest in influencers who could create viral moments. I didn't know. You didn't ask. DeLorean stands. Because asking would have meant acknowledging you were being paid to hurt people. And that would have made you complicit. Easier to pretend you're just entertaining your followers. He gestures to Nara, who's been silent since entering. She gets to decide what happens next. Jared's eyes find hers. Please, please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. It got out of hand. I never thought. You never thought I was real. Nara's voice is steady, calm, the kind of calm that comes after rage burns itself out. You saw me sitting in that restaurant and you didn't see a person. You saw content, views, followers, money. She takes a step forward. Did you think about me at all after you posted it? Did you wonder if I had a job to get to the next morning? If I had people who'd see it? If it would ruin anything for me? He swallows. No. No. She nods. Because I wasn't real to you. Just a character in a story you were telling about how ridiculous poor people are when they try to exist in nice places. Jared's crying now, ugly, desperate crying that makes his whole face crumple. I'll take it down. I'll apologize. I'll do whatever you want. It's already down. DeLorean's voice is ice. Along with your other videos, your accounts, your sponsors, your job. By morning, the only thing left of your online presence is the video I released showing exactly what you are. You can't. I'll sue. With what money? DeLorean smiles. Not friendly. Your bank accounts are frozen. Pending investigation into your connection to foreign money laundering. Turns out taking 60,000 from a Russian criminal makes you very interesting to federal authorities. Jared's face crumples further. You're destroying my life. No, Nara speaks again. You destroyed your own life. You just thought there'd be no consequences because there never have been before. She looks at DeLorean. But I don't want revenge. I want the truth. She turns to one of the men in the corner. Is the camera recording? He nods. She looks back at Jared. Tell everyone watching what you did, why you did it, all of it. Jared stares at her. At DeLorean. At the camera he can't see but knows is there. At the corner he's painted himself into with viral views and algorithm optimization and $60,000 that seemed like easy money. My name is Jared Blythe. His voice shakes. I create content that humiliates people for entertainment. I've done it to 3 women. Set up fake dates, filmed them struggling, posted it for views. He swallows. The 3rd woman was Nara Duval. I chose the most expensive restaurant I could find. Made sure she'd be embarrassed. Made sure I'd get the best footage. Tears streamed down his face. I was paid $60,000 by someone who wanted to make the restaurant owner look bad. I didn't care why. I just wanted the money and the followers. And, Nara prompts, and I'm sorry. The words sound empty, like reciting lines in a play he doesn't believe in. I'm sorry for what I did, for making you into entertainment, for not seeing you as a real person with a real life. Nara studies him, this man who turned her worst moment into his best content, who sits here crying not because he understands what he did wrong, but because he got caught. I don't forgive you. Her voice is clear, final. But I'm not going to let you turn me into a revenge story either. You don't get to be my victim. She looks at DeLorean. Release the video, all of it. Let people see who he really is. But after that, she steps back. I'm done. He's not worth any more of my time. DeLorean nods, signals the men. They cut the zip ties. Jared's hands fall to his sides, numb. You're free to go. DeLorean's voice is soft, dangerous. But understand this. The federal investigation is real. The lawsuits from your previous victims are real. The fact that every news outlet in the country now has footage of you confessing is real. He leans in close. You wanted to be famous. Congratulations. Now everyone knows your name. Just not the way you planned. The men escort Jared out. He stumbles, legs barely working, into the Brooklyn night where reporters wait because, of course they do, because DeLorean doesn't do anything halfway. The door closes. Silence rushes back in. You could have asked for more. DeLorean watches Nara. I would have given you whatever you wanted. Money, connections, his blood if you'd asked for it. I know. She meets his eyes. But I didn't want to become like him. Didn't want to build my future on his destruction. She pauses. Justice doesn't always have to hurt. Sometimes it just has to be true. Something shifts in DeLorean's expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition of someone who understands power in ways he's forgotten. The video releases in 10 minutes. He checks his watch. By midnight, you'll be on every news site in the country. They'll want interviews, book deals, speaking engagements. Your life is about to change again. Will it change back? She's not sure she wants the answer. No. He says it gently. But that doesn't mean it gets worse. Just different. They leave the warehouse together. The car waits, black and anonymous. Manhattan glows across the river, 1,000 windows lit against the dark. Somewhere in that city, a video is uploading. Truth packaged in 30-second clips and 2-minute exposés. A story about dignity and exploitation, and what happens when the internet's appetite for humiliation finally chokes on something real. And in the back of a car, crossing the Brooklyn Bridge, Nara Duval watches the city lights blur past and wonders who she'll be tomorrow when the world knows her name. When you have power over someone who hurt you, what do you do with it? Do you crush them? Or do you prove you're better than they ever were? Is there dignity in mercy? Or is mercy just another word for letting people get away with cruelty? Dawn comes to Hudson Valley like a slow exhale. Gold light spills across trees that have traded green for crimson and amber. The river below turns copper. Somewhere in the gardens, birds argue territory in songs that sound like questions without answers. Nara sits on the stone steps of the estate's east entrance, coffee steaming in a mug that probably cost more than her first car did. She's wearing her own clothes, jeans and a sweater she bought 3 years ago that's soft from washing. Not the uniform. Not borrowed designer pieces from the closet DeLorean filled without asking. Just herself. The phone Marcus gave her, reinforced glass, encrypted, unhackable according to people who make hacking impossible, sits beside her, screen dark. She hasn't checked it in 4 hours. Knows what she'll find when she does. Interviews requests, think pieces, social media accounts created in her name by people she's never met, accumulating followers who've decided they know her story. Footsteps on stone. DeLorean appears, hands in the pockets of sweatpants that somehow still look expensive. No suit, no armor. Just a man in the early morning, carrying his own coffee, looking almost human. You didn't sleep. Not a question. Neither did you. He sits on the step below hers. An unusual choice, putting himself lower, making himself look up to meet her eyes. She notices. Wonders if it's intentional or instinct. The video hit 8 million views by 3 a.m. He stares at the valley. Every major news outlet picked it up. Jared's facing federal charges. 3 other victims have come forward with their own stories. His entire career collapsed in 6 hours. Good. The word comes out flat. She means it, but the satisfaction she expected doesn't arrive. Just exhaustion. And a strange emptiness where anger used to be. You saved his life, you know. DeLorean takes a drink. By choosing truth over revenge. By stopping me from doing what I wanted to do to him. What did you want to do? Things that would have required dental records to identify him after. He says it casually, like discussing weather. But you were right. He wasn't worth it. Becoming what he feared would have meant giving him power over who I am. They sit in silence. The sun climbs higher. The valley turns from copper to gold. I have something for you. He sets down his cup, pulls a small black envelope from his pocket. Open it. Inside, a letter from Parsons School of Design. Acceptance confirmed. Scholarship awarded. Classes beginning January 7th. And beneath it, a check made out to Nara Duval for an amount that makes her hands shake. That's not from me. He says it quickly. That's from the lawsuit settlement. The 3 women Jared targeted before you, they pooled their damages and split it with you. Said you deserved it more because you're the one who exposed him. $50,000. More money than she's ever seen. More than Mama made in 5 years of folding other people's sheets and scrubbing other people's floors. I can't, you can, and you will. His voice is firm. Because refusing it means letting pride make you poor. And you're done being poor, Nara. Done apologizing for wanting more. Done making yourself small so other people feel comfortable. Tears she didn't know were coming blur the valley into watercolor. She blinks them back, but they keep arriving. Hot and fast and full of every emotion she's kept locked down for 3 weeks of uncertainty. I don't know how to be this person. The admission comes out broken. The one people recognize. The one with opportunities. I'm good at surviving. At being invisible. At cleaning up after people who matter. She gestures at the envelope. I don't know how to matter. You've always mattered. He stands, offers his hand. The world just needed to catch up. She takes his hand, lets him pull her to her feet. Stands there on stone steps older than her grandparents, holding an envelope that contains a future she never let herself imagine too clearly because hope hurts worse than resignation. What happens now? She needs structure. A plan. Something to hold on to. Now you go to design school. Build the life you've been dreaming about in stolen moments between cleaning other people's houses. He releases her hand. And I go back to being the monster everyone thinks I am. Running businesses people don't ask questions about. Making decisions that keep me up at night. You're not a monster. I'm not a hero either. He picks up his coffee. I saw someone being hurt and I had the power to stop it. That doesn't make me good. It just makes me less bad for a moment. He starts to walk away. She stops him with a question. Why did you really help me? The truth. Not the speech about courage or seeing yourself in me. The real reason. He turns back. The rising sun catches his face from the side, throwing half of it into shadow. For a moment, he looks exactly like what he is. A man built from violence and control, who found something in a stranger's refusal to break that reminded him of who he used to be before the world made him into this. Because 23 years ago, I sat in a restaurant like Belamonte's with nothing in my pocket but rage and shame. Someone looked at me the way that hostess looked at you. And no one helped. He pauses. I survived. Built an empire on the lessons that night taught me about power and dignity and never letting anyone make me feel small again. His eyes meet hers. But I never forgot what it felt like to be dismissed like I was nothing. And I made a promise to myself that if I ever saw it happening to someone else, if I ever had the power to stop it, I would. So this was about you, not me. It started that way. He admits it without shame. But then I watched you refuse to cry. Watched you hold yourself together in a room designed to break people like us. Watched you choose truth over revenge even when revenge would have felt so good. He smiles, small, real, gone before she can fully register it. By the end, it was about you. About someone finally being better than I ever managed to be. He walks back into the house, leaves her alone with the sunrise and the envelope and the weight of a future that suddenly feels possible instead of just imagined. Nara opens the phone Marcus gave her, scrolls through interview requests and speaking offers and messages from strangers who've decided she's inspirational. Deletes most of them, keeps 3. Design firms asking if she's available for internships. Real opportunities from people who looked past the viral video and saw the work she'd posted online years ago, the sketches and renderings she'd made in stolen moments between shifts. She responds to all 3. Professional, brief, available starting January after semester begins. Then she opens a new message, types out an address. Her old apartment building in the Bronx. Keisha's number attached. I'm coming home tomorrow to pack. Dinner after? I'm buying. And Keisha, thank you for making me take a chance on something that scared me. The response comes back in seconds. Girl, I saw the video. All of it. Are you okay? Are you safe? Is that man as terrifying as he looks? Nara looks at the house behind her, at windows reflecting sunrise. At the door DeLorean disappeared through, returning to whatever version of himself he becomes when he's alone. I'm safe. And he's complicated. But I think maybe so am I. She sets down the phone, finishes her coffee, watches the valley turn from gold to white as the sun climbs higher, burning off the morning's uncertainty. In 5 months, she'll start design school. In 5 years, maybe she'll have her own firm. In 50, maybe someone will tell her story and it'll sound like fiction. The maid who walked into a restaurant with $5 and walked out with her dignity intact, who chose truth over revenge, who learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is refuse to let the world make you small. But right now, in this moment, she's just Nara Duval, sitting on stone steps, drinking expensive coffee, watching the sun rise over a valley she'll leave soon, carrying with her the strange gift of having been seen by someone who understood what invisibility costs. Inside the house, DeLorean stands at the window of his study, watching her watch the sunrise, making calls that will rearrange her life one more time without her knowledge, removing obstacles, opening doors, ensuring the world that tried to break her down will now bend itself around her success. Protection, he calls it, preparation. But in the language of his world, it has another name, penance. Would you accept help from someone powerful even if you knew their motives were complicated? Is it possible to be grateful and suspicious at the same time? Say, how do you tell the difference between being protected and being controlled? Chapter 10. 6 months later, the studio smells like fresh paint and possibility. White walls, waiting for art. Windows overlooking a Brooklyn street where people walk past arguing about nothing and everything. A desk Nara built herself from reclaimed wood. Every imperfection intentional. Every joint tight enough to last decades. The sign outside reads, Duval Design. Simple, clean, hers. 3 clients already. 2 residential renovations and 1 small commercial project. A coffee shop in Park Slope, whose owner saw her work at the Parsons Student Showcase and offered her the job before she'd even graduated. The contracts sit in a folder on her desk, signed and real, and proof that dreams don't always die from neglect. The bell above the door chimes. Nara looks up from her drafting table, expecting the tile supplier she's meeting with to discuss bathroom finishes. Instead, white lilies. 24 of them, carried by a delivery person who sets them on the reception desk and leaves without waiting for a signature. Nara's heart stops, restarts, beats too fast. She crosses to the flowers, finds the card tucked between stems, heavy stock, embossed lettering, handwriting she recognizes from a business card she kept for weeks before finally throwing away. For the woman who taught a monster what dignity looks like. Congratulations on building something that's yours. SD. She reads it 3 times, tries to find hidden meaning in the word choice, the spacing, the dash before his initials. finds nothing but exactly what it says. The door chimes again. This time it's the tile supplier, a woman in her 50s with calloused hands and a contractor's eye for detail. They spend an hour discussing grout colors and waterproofing and all the technical beauty of building something that lasts. After she leaves, Nara stands alone in her studio, surrounded by design books and fabric samples, and the white lilies that smell like expensive funerals and new beginnings. She hasn't seen DeLorean since she left the estate. Hasn't called. Hasn't texted. Part of her expected him to show up, to check on his investment, to remind her that everything she has exists because he allowed it. But he never did. Just sent monthly deposits to an account he set up without asking. Payment for consultation services rendered, according to the bank statements, though she'd never consulted on anything. She'd tried to return the first payment. The bank said the account was locked to accept deposits only. No way to send money back. No way to refuse the help except to let it sit there accumulating like evidence of a debt she didn't ask for but couldn't deny benefiting from. Keisha says she's overthinking it. That rich people throw money around like confetti, and it doesn't mean anything except they can. That she should take it and run and never look back. But Nara knows better. Knows that money from men like DeLorean always means something. Always comes with invisible strings attached, even when you can't see them until they pull tight. She arranges the lilies in a vase, sets them on the window ledge where afternoon light turns them translucent. Beautiful. Temporary. Like everything else that seems perfect until you look too close. Her phone buzzes. Text from an unknown number. Saw your studio opening post. Proud of you. Marcus, she smiles. Marcus, who'd given her the encrypted phone and taught her how to use the security system at the estate. Who'd shown her his daughter's college acceptance letter one evening when DeLorean was away, voice thick with pride for a girl who'd be the first in their family to graduate. She texts back. Thank you. Tell your daughter congratulations on Cornell. She's going to do great things. The response comes quick. She already is, like someone else I know. Nara sets down the phone, returns to her drafting table where a residential renovation waits, a brownstone and bed-stuy that needs reimagining. The clients are a young couple, both teachers, who saved for 3 years to afford her services. She's charging them half her rate because she remembers what it feels like to save for years and still come up short. The afternoon passes in measurements and sketches. The light changes from white to gold. The street outside fills with people heading home from jobs they might love, or might tolerate, or might hate, but show up to anyway because rent doesn't pay itself. At 6:30, the bell chimes again. Nara doesn't look up. We're closed. Office hours are 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. I'm not here for office hours. The voice stops her pencil mid-stroke. She looks up. DeLorean stands in the doorway, hands in his pockets, wearing a black sweater and jeans that probably cost more than her monthly rent. No suit, no bodyguards, no armor except the careful distance he maintains between himself and the rest of humanity. How did you find me? Her voice comes out steadier than she feels. Marcus told me after you texted him. He glances around the studio, takes in the desk, the drafting table, the fabric samples mounted on boards, the lilies in the window. It's good. Clean lines. Functional. You. You didn't have to send flowers. I know. He moves closer. Stops at the edge of her workspace, not crossing into it. Respecting boundaries she didn't know she'd drawn. But I wanted you to know I was paying attention. That I saw what you built. You've been paying attention for 6 months. Every deposit. Every month. She sets down her pencil. Why? Because I started something and I don't leave things half finished. He picks up one of her design books, a volume on Scandinavian minimalism she'd bought used and repaired with tape. I told you that strength like yours should lead, not serve. I meant it. So the money is what? An investment? Insurance? Payment for not telling people what you really are? It's reparations. The word lands heavy. For every year you spent invisible. For every person who looked through you like you didn't exist. For every dream you had to fold up and put away because surviving took all your energy. He sets down the book. I can't change the past, but I can make sure the future is different. That's not your responsibility. No, he meets her eyes. But it's my choice. They stand in silence. The street noise filters through. Car horns, conversation, the rattle of the subway under their feet. Real life continuing while they negotiate the terms of something neither of them knows how to name. I heard about Dmitri. Nara says it carefully. Watched the news 3 months ago when the Russian national was arrested at JFK, charged with money laundering and racketeering and a list of crimes that would keep him in federal prison for decades. They said it was an anonymous tip. Financial records someone leaked. They say a lot of things. DeLorean's face reveals nothing. Did you? He tried to hurt someone under my protection. The words come out cold. Final. There are consequences for that, always. Under my protection. The phrase sits between them like a contract she never signed. I'm not under your protection anymore. She needs to say it. I left the estate, built this. I'm not your employee or your guest or your responsibility. I know. He steps back, creates more distance. You were never any of those things. You were, he pauses, searching for words that don't come easily. You were a reminder of who I used to be before I became this, before survival turned into empire, and empire turned into isolation. So what am I now? He considers the question. Outside, the light fades from gold to blue. The lilies in the window glow white against gathering dark. Someone I'm grateful exists in the world. He says it simply. Someone who proved that dignity doesn't require cruelty, that strength doesn't mean destruction, that you can win without turning into the thing you're fighting against. He moves toward the door, stops with his hand on the frame, the same way he'd done at the estate, creating exits before conversations can trap him. I won't come back. He doesn't look at her. The deposits will stop next month. You don't need them anymore. You've got clients and contracts and a reputation you built yourself. He glances back. But if you ever need anything, if the world ever tries to make you small again, you know how to reach me. Silvio. His name in her mouth feels strange, intimate, like using it gives her power she's not sure she wants. Thank you for everything. For seeing me when no one else did. For teaching me that wanting more doesn't make me greedy. For, her voice catches. For reminding me that I matter. Something crosses his face, not quite a smile. Something deeper, more real. You always mattered, Nara. The world just needed to catch up. He opens the door. The bell chimes. He steps into the Brooklyn evening where streetlights are starting to flicker on and people are moving toward wherever they call home. Nara watches through the window as he walks to a black car idling at the curb. No driver this time. Just him, opening his own door, sitting in the driver's seat, becoming just another person in traffic. But before he pulls away, he looks back at the studio, at the windows glowing warm against the dark, at the sign that reads Duval Design in letters she chose herself. Their eyes meet across 40 feet of city street. He nods once. A gesture of respect, of acknowledgement, of something that might be goodbye or might be see you later, or might be nothing more than a man who helped someone once and lived long enough to see them survive. Then he drives away, taillights disappearing into traffic. Gone. Nara stands at the window for a long time after. The lilies smell like endings and beginnings. Outside, but Brooklyn continues, messy and loud and full of people trying to build lives that mean something. She returns to her drafting table. To the brownstone renovation that needs finishing. To the work that's hers and only hers, built from talent and determination, and the strange gift of having been seen by someone who understood what invisibility costs. Her phone buzzes. One last text from the unknown number that might be Marcus or might be someone else entirely. Don't forget where you came from, but don't let it define where you're going. She doesn't respond, just sets the phone face down and picks up her pencil, returns to the work of designing spaces where people can feel at home, where light falls right and colors make sense and every detail whispers that someone cared enough to get it perfect. Outside, the street empties. The lights stay on. The city breathes. And in a studio in Brooklyn, a woman who once walked into a restaurant with $5 and walked out with her dignity intact continues building a future that belongs to no one but herself. Somewhere across the city, in a penthouse that overlooks Central Park, Silvio De Lorenz stands at his window with a glass of brandy, looking at lights that stretch to the horizon. Tomorrow he'll return to being the man everyone fears, the man who makes decisions that keep him up at night, the man built from violence and control. But tonight, just for tonight, he allows himself to be the man who helped someone once, who saw himself in a stranger's refusal to break, who learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let someone go and trust they'll be fine without you. The brandy tastes bitter. He drinks it anyway. Below, the city moves. Above, clouds hide stars. Between them, 8 million people living their lives, building their dreams, surviving their own stories. And in that vast machinery of hope and struggle, two people who briefly intersected now move in different orbits, connected by something that isn't quite friendship and isn't quite debt. Something that doesn't have a name in any language but exists anyway. The quiet understanding between people who've both learned that dignity is the only thing no one can take from you unless you give it away. The story could end here, clean, resolved, everyone in their proper place, but stories don't end. They just pause, because 3 weeks later, Nara receives a package. No return address, inside, a silver ring engraved with an address in Italy. A property deed for a villa in Tuscany that specializes in design residencies for emerging artists, and a note in familiar handwriting. Someone should use it. Might as well be you. 3 months. Next summer. No strings. Just space to create without the noise. You've earned it. SD. She holds the ring up to the light, watches it catch and throw silver across her studio walls, smiles, sets it on her desk where she can see it while she works. Maybe the story doesn't end. Maybe it just transforms into something else. Into proof that help doesn't always come with chains. That powerful people can do good things without demanding worship in return. That sometimes a maid with $5 and a mafia boss with everything can both learn something about what strength really means. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe it's just two people who saw each other clearly in a world that encourages blindness. And that clarity, that brief, burning moment of being truly seen, changed them both in ways they're still discovering. The studio closes. The lights go off. Brooklyn sleeps. And tomorrow, Nara Duval will wake up and continue building a life that's hers. We'll take clients and make decisions and design spaces that make people feel at home. But on her desk, a silver ring catches morning light. A reminder. A promise, a door left open to possibilities she hasn't yet imagined. Because dignity isn't about having everything. It's about knowing you deserve more than nothing. And once you learn that lesson, really learn it down in your bones where shame used to live, you carry it forever. No matter where you go, no matter who you become. You carry it like armor, like wings, like the most dangerous weapon in the world, the knowledge that you matter. Did this story change how you see strength? Did it make you think about the last time someone really saw you? Not just looked at you, but saw who you are underneath all the survival? If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever walked into a room where you didn't belong and held your head up anyway, this story was for you. Drop a comment below and share your moment of quiet strength. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this touched something in you, subscribe and turn on notifications, because stories like this, stories about real power and quiet dignity, are what we're here to tell. Share this with someone who needs to know they matter. Hit that like button if you believe dignity is the highest form of power. And remember, you belong everywhere. The world just needs to catch up. See you in the next one.